Okay, we put this XA together and we changed the coil. And we always want to check that jam nut on top of the 5851. We said we'd let the car do the work. So let's go back to that right now. We've got our shiny new jam nut on top. And very important, we're going to say this twice. The crimp always goes on top. Pull off our retaining plate, and there's that jam nut that we got reasonably tight, but we know it's not done. So now we're going to put our socket on it, because you can never, ever, ever use an air gun on it, and make sure it's good and tight. This is not going anyplace. Put our retaining plate back on. And now let's put on our shiny new jam nut. Don't forget that crimp has always got to be at the top. If you invert the nut, you'll strip the shaft. Stripped shaft, it's not a warranty item. We'll make really sure she's tight. And that is good to go. Same process over on the passenger side. And we're going to go to full soft and count up 15 clicks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. We'll set the rear the same way. Full soft. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. The front's pretty much good to go. We've got the adjusters set. All the installation work is done. We've got to move the car around a bit to check the ride heights. Before we set the final ride heights, we're going to go ahead and do the rear of the car, because when we lower the rear of the car, it'll change the front height. So we'll set the front height last, because the biggest ride height change is going to be in the rear on this particular vehicle. So what we're going to do now is spin the car around, give the front a chance to settle by turning it, and get lined up to do the rear of the car. We're ready to start on the rear shocks and the rear coils. We're going to start in the trunk. First thing we're going to do is pull the nuts off the top of both shock absorbers. We've already removed the fiber mat liner, whatever you want to call it, that covers up the gas tank. And now we're going to get in there with a 15mm deep well socket and a speed ratchet. You can use a hand tool to do it, but I'm lazy, so I'm using this. We've removed the nuts from the top of the rear shocks. We've jacked up the vehicle. And now I have my really fancy cardboard creeper. I use a broken down cardboard box because I don't jack the car up as high and it's easy to slide around on. We're going to leave the wheels in place because the wheels add weight and actually pull down the control arms, which will make pulling out the springs that much easier. If we need a little help getting it back in place, we can always use a floor jack underneath the area where the shock absorber bolts to raise it back up. So we want to make this as easy as possible. The first thing we're going to do is remove the lower bolt from the end link on both sides. A 21mm socket and pop off these lower rear shock bolts. Shock number one, and sometimes they seat just a bit in there. Little wiggling, and shock number two is out. Okay, I've got Will on the outside of the car. He's going to press on the top of the wheel. I'm going to give it a little pull with a bar here, big screwdriver, and we're close to out, and there she is. We're going to remove the adjusters. We're going to remove the nuts. I'm going to put this hardware in the trunk so it's ready when we need it. And we're going to preset our rear coil height. Now remember, this is an unusual vehicle. We're going to set this on the high side to start with because it is a wide body. And we are running some pretty big rims and tires in the back end. Because once we get it in the car, we can always adjust it down. But I'm taking a guess at the ride height, and I'm thinking this is going to be about right for us. So we'll count some threads and match these up. Now these locking rings, we provide some special wrenches to set them. I'm a little bit more crude than that. I like to use a drift and a hammer and lock them old school style. A few moments ago we talked about presetting this rear adjustable spring seat. Now that we're under the car and not on a regular lift, we're struggling a bit to get it installed at this tall height. Well, why fight it? Let's make our life easy. We'll just spin this down, shorten the assembly, and then we'll be able to slide this in with a whole lot less effort. Once we get it back in, we'll go ahead and raise it back up. It's a concession we'll make to the driveway installation. We've got our OEM spring seat on the bottom, we've got our OEM spring seat on the top. We're going to slip this over the lower seat. Hold on, Will. We're over the lower seat. Will's going to give us a little bounce here. Almost, Will. One more. There we are. We're in. Okay. We're making some concessions here to video and doing this sideways and blind, but you get the general idea. This is an adjustable shock absorber in more ways than one. Not only does it have 30 damping adjustments, it's adjustable in terms of height. To set the height, we need to loosen this collar. Collar's now loose. Want to make it longer? We unscrew it. Want to make it shorter? We tighten it up. Now I'm going to ask you to come really close and take a good look at this inspection hole. This inspection hole, we're going to spin it down a bit. You'll see now, you see that your half threads, part of the hole only is filled with threads. That would be unacceptable. We have to have this hole completely full of thread. When it looks like this, you're good to go. Anything less, not good to go. The main objective of raising and lowering this unit is to hold the coils in place. You need 5 millimeters or so, 10 millimeters, somewhere in that 5 to 7, 8 range to hold that coil tightly in place when the wheels are at full droop. So all we're going to do when we get this unit installed in the car is adjust the length to make sure we have sufficient preload on the rear coils.